Well, let's get some more analysis. We can cross to Kyiv and speak now to Peter Zalmayev, who is the director of the Eurasian Democracy Initiative. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. What's your reaction to the news that this deal has been agreed on? I'm assuming it's given something of a boost to Ukrainian morale.
Oh, indeed, and it couldn't come at a more appropriate time. Obviously, it's been sort of a perfect storm of bad tidings for Ukraine, not necessarily on the battlefield where our brave soldiers are more than continuing to hold their own, but scoring successes, including by going after Russian ships in the Black Sea. And this has been a tremendous success story. But otherwise, obviously, with the aid packages sort of in question, blocked by Republicans in the U.S. Congress, and with Mr. Orban's brinksmanship in Brussels, this has been a pretty trying time, feeling as opposed to last year. We were in darkness and Russia was trying to destroy our infrastructure, but we felt the sort of worldwide support from our Western allies, which now has come under question. And this is a very important message that not only were Europeans able to coalesce around this issue and push it through, but we're finally able to bring the recalcitrant Hungary on board, which means a significant geopolitical loss for Vladimir Putin, who has calculated on using these sort of fifth columnists from within the European community against Ukraine, against European unity.
Yeah, you raise a lot of important points, and I'm going to pick you up on some of them. But one question I just wondered first, perhaps you can tell our viewers, what would have happened if Ukraine hadn't got this deal, if that 50 billion euros of aid had not been made available? Because I gather the money is urgently needed, and the first tranche is going to be wired to Ukraine next month.
Well, let's be open about that. This aid is primarily economic. It's not about military aid, and so we're talking about 42% of Ukrainians who have said that reported that their income is simply insufficient for meeting basic needs such as food, such as housing, etc. So these most vulnerable people would be under severe hit. The government would have to cut all sorts of social programs, including education, healthcare, retirement plan, etc. And and obviously a very real risk to the hryvnia, the national currency. Already, the economists were contemplating a run on the banks, and that could have meant a collapse of the Ukrainian economy, which has relied, part and parcel on Western support during this 2 years of war. It is simply also not feasible to contemplate continuing to effectively resist the Russian aggression when the economy is such a status, in such a state that the government would not even be able to pay proper salary to the soldiers. And now we're talking about a new mobilization drive. A new law is about to be adopted on mobilization. How are you going to be able to not only lure these soldiers and motivate them to serve in the army, but how are you going to equip them? How are you going to arm them? These are all the questions that would have arisen as a result of Brussels continuing to stall on the aid package.
Well, Hungary more specifically, and I just want to pick you up on that. What do people there in Ukraine make of Viktor Orban's concerns? Because he said he didn't want that money to be misused. He seemed to be concerned about the fact that that money might go astray. That was his objection. But what do people in Ukraine say about the motivations for Mr. Orban standing up to the other 26 EU leaders?
Well, the motivation remains, it remains a mystery. Orban has been erratic. He's been unpredictable. A charitable explanation is that he was sort of, driving a hard bargain to get his money frozen in Brussels, including the COVID money unlocked and unfrozen. That was part of the brinksmanship, but I think most Ukrainians would be less charitable and say that Orban has some sort of a deal with Vladimir Putin, maybe even under the table. There's much we don't know. I don't want to speculate or spread any conspiracy theories here, but these gentlemen go far back. They share an illiberal ideology that presumes some sort of Christian values. They are very intolerant of people of other faiths in Europe, etc. But apart from that, Hungary is enjoying a very cozy relationship, getting Russian gas at a significant price discount, etc. But there's also a lot we don't know about financial dealings between these two governments. There are banks also involved, Hungarian banks, and you remember part of the conditions for Orban to lift his objection was to lift sanctions from one of the banks, Hungarian banks, that has been very closely involved in dealings with Putin's Russia. So that's another concern.
Okay, well, let's see whether the freeing up of this deal inspires Washington to do the same thing and come good on their own package of aid for Ukraine. Thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us. Peter Zalmayev, Director of the Eurasian Democracy Initiative. Thanks.